There are certain UFC fighters who are slowly making noise in their weight classes, where next year they will likely become serious contenders in their divisions. So here is 10 fighters to look out for in 2018. Number 10. Zabit Magomedsharipov is a featherweight fighter who currently has 2 submission victories in the UFC. He made his UFC debut at UFC final Volkov vs Struve against Mike Santiago, where in the fight he threw a number of spinning hook kicks, jumping back kicks, and even attempted a showtime kick but missed, where he eventually won the fight by a rear naked choke. His second fight was against Shayman Moraes at UFC final Bisping vs Gastelum, where Zabit brutalized him on the ground and sunk in a tight anaconda choke, forcing the tap. He is a very talented fighter who has a very similar fighting style to Yair Rodriguez and Lando Vannata, where he is very fast in his movements and has a great kicking game. I want to see him tested against the top 15 guys in the featherweight division, as I think it will give them a good fight. He's a very good prospect and the fans definitely need to keep an eye on him. Number 9. Brett Johns is an undefeated bantamweight fighter who has 3 impressive victories in the UFC. His most impressive performance was when he defeated former title challenger Joe Soto by a rare calf slicer, which immediately forced a tap at the Ultimate Fighter 26 finale. He is an undefeated bantamweight prospect who seems to be well-rounded in all areas. He recently entered the bantamweight rankings, where I believe he will definitely cause some more upsets in 2018. Number 8. Aspen Lad is an undefeated bantamweight fighter who most recently made a debut, viciously defeating Lena Landsberg by TKO at UFC Final 118. She is a strong grappler who knows how to tie her opponents up on the ground and knows how to deliver a vicious beating. The undefeated bantamweight is only 23 years old, where she has so much time to develop as a complete mixed martial artist. With the UFC bantamweight division thin in contenders, I believe Aspen Lad has what it takes to become a serious contender in 2018. Number 7. Sean O'Malley is an undefeated bantamweight fighter who was given a UFC contract after he knocked out Alfred Kashakian at Dana White's Contender Series. He most recently made his UFC debut, defeating Terrion Ware by a unanimous decision at the Ultimate Fighter 26 finale. He is very big for the weight class, as he stands 5 feet 11 inches tall and has a 72-inch reach, which will definitely give the UFC bantamweights a lot of trouble. He is currently undefeated and has a very high finishing rate, where he will definitely become a recognizable name in 2018. Number 6. Murabek Taisumov is a lightweight fighter who has completely destroyed his last 5 opponents violently. He is a very aggressive fighter who always pushes for the finish, where he can end a fight with a single strike from his very heavy hands. He's a powerful lightweight, where after putting together a string of finishes, he definitely deserves top 15 competition. I believe he will definitely be better known next year, where he may become a serious contender in the lightweight division. Number 5. Gokhan Saki is a light heavyweight fighter who made his explosive debut when he knocked out Henrique da Silva at UFC Final 117. He came into the UFC as the former Glory kickboxing heavyweight champion, who is known for his violent left hook. He was scheduled to face Khalil Rountree at UFC 219, but was forced to pull out due to an injury. He has a mixed martial arts record of 1 win and 1 loss, and I'm curious to see how he will do against the top light heavyweights in the UFC. He seems like a promising prospect, where it will be interesting to see how he develops in the UFC. Number 4. Paulo Costa is an undefeated middleweight fighter whose brutal finishes has helped him crack him a position in the top 50 middleweight rankings. He last dismantled former champion Johnny Hendricks, where he finished him by TKO at UFC 217. All of his fights have not gone to the distance, where his power has overwhelmed his opponents. His major strength lies in his stand-up skills, where he has been able to crush his opponents with his heavy strikes. He has finished his last 3 fights in a violent manner, where it will be interesting to see how he does against the top 10 middleweights of the UFC. Number 3. Catelyn Vieira is an undefeated bantamweight fighter who has quickly become a serious contender in the weight division with only 3 fights. She most recently picked up the biggest win of her career when she defeated former title challenger Sarah McMahon by an arm triangle choke at UFC 215. She seems to be well-rounded in all areas, where she has kept her undefeated record intact. She is currently scheduled to face top bantamweight contender Kat Zingano at UFC 222, where I believe if she wins, she will definitely be ready to challenge for the title in 2018. Number 2. Darren Till is an undefeated welterweight fighter who has quickly become a serious contender in the welterweight division with his first round stoppage of Donald Cerrone at UFC Final 118. His striking skills are superb, where he is quickly able to move in and out, landing clean strikes on his opponents. He has racked up 4 wins and 1 draw in the UFC, where I'm curious to see how he does against the top 10 welterweights. His fighting style has been very frustrating for his opponents, where it will be interesting to see if he is able to progress up the welterweight ladder. I believe a few more victories will enter him into title contention in 2018. Honorable mentions. Curtis Blaydes is a heavyweight fighter who has been slowly climbing the rankings, where he has put together a UFC record of 4-1. His only loss in the UFC has come to Francis Ngannou, but he looks like a promising prospect in 2018. Shane Burgos is an undefeated featherweight fighter who has put together 3 solid wins in the UFC. He is a well-rounded fighter who looks like a great prospect. It will be interesting to see how he progresses in 2018. Thiago Santos is a rising middleweight contender who has brutally finished his last 3 fights, where he's starting to gain momentum in the weight class. He is a violent finisher, where it will be interesting to see what he is able to achieve in 2018. Marlon Moraes is the former World Series of Fighting bantamweight champion who lost his UFC debut to Rafael Assunção at UFC 212. He made a quick turnaround and defeated John Dodson by a split decision at UFC Final 120, and most recently knocked out Aljamain Sterling at UFC Final 123. He has looked great in his recent performances, where it will be interesting to see how he progresses in 2018. Paul Felder is a lightweight fighter who has made an impressive resurgence, where he has violently finished all of his opponents in a brutal fashion. He last defeated Charles Oliveira by TKO at UFC 218. It will be interesting to see how he progresses in 2018. Number 1. Brian Ortega is a top undefeated featherweight contender who has finished everyone he has faced in his mixed martial arts career. He has a very high level submission game where he is able to lock in a submission from anywhere. He has slowly been rising through the featherweight rankings where he just looks unstoppable right now. He last defeated Cub Swanson by a guillotine choke at UFC Final 123, where I believe after 1 or 2 more wins, he will definitely be ready to challenge for the title near the end of 2018.